I am Nadia Musaji. I'm the co-founder at WomHub and WomEng.
My name is Reza Fazal. I'm an associate partner at Open Capital Advisors.
My name is Prince Ilbudo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Docal.
Hi, I'm Kenan Zoe. I'm the CEO of Relief Earth.
Running a business can take a toll both mentally, physically, and emotionally. What I've found was really effective is making sure that you actually have some personal time for exercise and health. I started doing dance fitness because it's fun, it's vibrant, it's energizing. I've also started Pilates because when you get to a certain age, you've got to really stretch it out. The mental load for entrepreneurs, especially women, mothers, it's massive. You don't have to say yes to everything, and I think that really helps with being able to determine what is important and what is a value add to you and to your organization and to the people that you support.
It's always going to be busy. So making sure that we're balancing what really needs to be done today. Call it ruthless prioritization.
So I try to exercise every morning before I start my work. It gives me energy. The second thing that I do is on Sundays, for instance, I completely disconnect from the noise, any social media. So I do a complete social media cleansing.
On the mental side, I meditate. I use Headspace. It's just a 10-minute session before starting my day that works really well. On the physical side of things, and I believe that both sides are really important, I enjoy going to the gym and working out. There are some things as an entrepreneur you can't control, like an investor's decision, if a customer is going to retain their contract with you, but you can control closing your eyes, having a few minutes for mindfulness, going to the gym and picking up weights.
So the boundaries that I've set between work and personal life is I'm a slave to my calendar. If you are in my calendar, I will see you. If you are not in my calendar, then wait until the next available spot.
Life and people say work-life balance. I'm not sure if I always subscribe to that, because the moment you separate work from life and you're spending a lot of time doing work, then does it really make sense? So I prefer to look at it much more holistically. There are certain times, when it's very precious family time, those kind of boundaries you want to set. But you also want to make sure that you don't set unrealistic boundaries, because then you can end up feeling quite guilty about that.
One thing that I wouldn't compromise on is breakfast with my family. So I don't check my emails or I don't check my phone until I have breakfast with everybody and until it's time to actually go to work.
For me, in the morning, especially before noon, I prefer not to take calls that are not scheduled. This gives me time to do deep work on important actions that I, as an individual contributor, while being a leader of a team, I'm still responsible for. And then from noon, therefore, if you have a problem, you can call me. We can get on the phone very ad hoc.
The illusion of success when they hear that you're doing something and you have articles written about you, and everyone thinks that you're successful and you have money, especially in the context of Africa, where you get a lot of requests for help from the family. And so yes, definitely the pressure is there. I think for me, what has been very useful and very helpful is the support of my family.
I realize, the Japanese say you have three faces. The face you show the world, the face you show your friends and family, and the face you show yourself. And I would show this world this very much painted on beautiful face of having it all together. And over the past year, I have not had it all together. And for me, it's really important to come to the realization that that speaks a lot to everybody else's agenda. Last year, I really focused rather on creating revenue rather than creating visibility of my personal brand.
I think what I found along the journey is that pursuing purpose is really what gives one a feeling of self-worth. And that is the most important thing to focus on in one's career.
So we are a tech startup, and in tech, our team consists mainly of developers and engineers and software people and whatnot. And they tend to be very focused in their work. So one thing that has been helpful is to have them sign up to a gym membership, for instance. So we're offering that in our at Docal, gym membership for all of our tech team. And it's been very useful. It's been very helpful because they come back and they feel energized, they feel healthy. and it's really reflecting on their work.
In 2023, my business was going through a fundraise during a time where there was a large pullback in venture financing for startups. During this fundraising process, I spoke with over 100 investors, and the process of going to the gym every morning is really what kept me in the game. It gave me the strength to go into those meetings, bring my best, and some of those investors ended up investing. And so as an entrepreneur, even when things seem very, very dire, you are responsible for showing up in your best version and doing the work that you have to do.
One particular engagement, we were thinking about how we improve cost effectiveness and efficiency for a toothpaste manufacturer. And because of sort of the wellness and flexibility that we had built in, we were actually at one of these sort of Formula One type races, and you look at how they operate in a pit stop. We're actually able to take learnings from a very different environment, right? You think about a pit stop in a Formula One happens in a few seconds. Learnings from there to a toothpaste manufacturer and what kind of learnings they can take there. And so I think there's sort of a bigger point here where when you can create the right kind of mental stability within yourself and your teams, you're then able to draw from learning, successes, magic, if you like, in these kinds of intersections.
I'm going to talk about balance for a moment here, because there actually isn't anything like work-life balance. Okay? I fundamentally believe it's work-life choices. While we are up at 2 o'clock in the morning as leadership, busy having conversations because we can't sleep, we always tell our team, there isn't any expectation that you're going to respond if I send you an email at that time. So work during core hours, but that's just when we work best. The flexibility that we come, understanding that everybody has different energies, that is really important. And what feeds you during the day, being able to take some time out to go and pick up kids from school, to go to the gym, and then come in and give your full self when you have the capacity and the mental capacity to be able to do so, because you're not tired, because your energy levels are well in the evening or early morning. I think that's really important to kind of listen to and create that balance.
It's absolutely critical to make sure that you're modeling that for your team. And that can only happen if you are truly embracing it yourself. So for me, thinking about, with a young family, all different sort of aspects of work, both personal and professional, there's always a lot happening. Really critical to make sure that to allow you to be that role model, you're embracing these values yourself. So thinking about things holistically, thinking about making sure how you're getting enough rest. All these pieces are critical because your team, your peers are seeing that in you.
I always tell my team that you can't really have a beautiful mind without a healthy body. So we really emphasize rest, we emphasize exercise, hence our gym membership. And we do emphasize the fact that they have to step back from the world once in a while to pause and reflect, so that they can truly appreciate the balance that they're having.
A balanced lifestyle is a really important aspect in a team being able to go the long distance. Startup journey is 10 years, and over a 10-year period, people's lives happen, and a company still needs to provide space for life to happen. One thing my mom made me promise her when I moved to Nigeria was that I would be home every year for Thanksgiving, which is in November in the United States. And so that's one weekend that, regardless of work, I have to travel. I have to be at home with my parents in November.
One of the cultural values in Africa is hierarchy, the concept of hierarchy. And it's something that I wasn't used to, having worked in places like the US or the UK, where things tend to be horizontal. So we try to have this hierarchical structure at work, while also leaving people the freedom to really express themselves.
So I grew up on the coast, the Kenyan coast, those kind of coastal vibes, if you like, where maybe a little bit more laid back than some might like, but I think it suits well for the long term, and that has also embraced and influenced my leadership style. I think that, together with growing up in a small town, meant a lot more of a community vibe, ensuring that each person's opinion is heard.
The idea of Ubuntu, togetherness, that we grow together, I think is really, really important. And I think how we grow our business. We always say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a company. And we use that analogy a lot. And so bringing all the villages together to be able to actually create strong entrepreneurial ventures, meet our clients' needs is really important for us.
One led the seed round for my startup, Iyabo Yeji from Future Africa. We met and really began our relationship through Harambeans in 2017, and then spent time actually sharing a room together in 2020 right before the pandemic started. And so later that year when my company was raising its seed round, he was already very familiar with our business model. I had shown him models before we went to sleep. And so that really enabled us to get their investment support, which catalyzed our fundraise.
I remember one of the Harambeans, we were just talking, I'd met her in Ghana absolutely randomly. And she said, oh, I've got this fintech solution and we sell to the insurance companies. And I said, oh, okay, well, I sit on a board of one of the largest insurance houses in South Africa. And I said, let me make an intro for you. And that became her first biggest client in South Africa. And it was because of that introduction and collaboration that she actually started South African operations.
I'm a new Harambean. I just joined last year. And I've gotten a lot of advice from older Harambeans and from the rest of the community. I've reached out to many people to review some of my decks and some of my ideas and some of my products. So it's really been a very open and collaborative environment.
Being a Harambean means that you're part of a connected ecosystem, but it's more than that. It's a safe space for entrepreneurs to sometimes share some of the true hardships. It's an alliance that moves beyond a transactional day-to-day piece, but actually something that's deeply who I am as a person.
Being a Harambean for me means a commitment to African-led innovation and growth. It means being connected to a community of like-minded individuals who are really looking to tap into that excellence in a very locally driven way.
Being a Harambean reflects a choice to work for this continent, a choice to not do the easy things, but to do the hard things, and to do it for a long time.
To me, being a Harambean is being an ever optimist about the reality that Africa will develop and it will happen in our generation. And that has always connected with me very strongly.